In the mood for something nostalgic? Try our deliciously spiked take on this classic staple. Our new spiked cherry cola blends the flavors of premium Maker's Mark bourbon, made with red winter wheat instead of the usual rye. Have you ordered one yet?
Welcome back to the Weekly Pass, live from Hooters, North Arlington, and here with Hollie Huggins. Yep. She's actually right next to me, Shawne, but it doesn't look like it because we had some technical difficulties. But we're happy to have my good friend, Shawne, and actually my boss, too, Hollie. Behave yourself. So he is an all-pro. Obviously, we know that when he was with the Chargers. And then he's a founder and CEO of this amazing Lights Out, which we know the MMA, where I'm the ring reporter. And we're happy to have Shawne here. Welcome, Shawne.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me.
Now, Shawne, I don't know how much you'll get into it, but I want to talk about the Chargers, and I don't know how candid you can be, but I want to get down to the fact that Jim Harbaugh said that Justin Herbert is the best quarterback in the league. Now, is he saying that because he wants to be coached, or do you believe that statement? And is there so much talent wasted because there's been bad coaches year after year with the Chargers?
Well, to be honest, first of all, Jim Harbaugh has been looking to get back into the NFL. I don't know if anybody been watching the last couple of years. I know he's had a lot of success at Michigan, but his whole idea was to get back into the NFL. And him saying Justin Herbert was the best quarterback in the NFL, I think it's a valid opinion. And that's also saying that what he knows he can do with him, right? Because we've seen what Jim Harbaugh has done to average or maybe above average quarterbacks. I mean, the time that we was with San Francisco and what he did with them, taking them all the way to the Super Bowl and whatnot, he knows how to coach. Now, my biggest thing personally is that he's a big name, right? You got to pay a lot of money for big names. And what kind of control is he going to want coming in? Who's he going to want to bring in his own staff? There's a lot to go with when you got a guy like Jim Harbaugh or Bill Belichick. There's a lot to go into that. So I'm not saying that he wouldn't be. I'm just saying that whatever next move decisions they make, it has to be the best one. Their next move has to be the best move because you got a quarterback here, Justin Herbert, who could be league MVP, right? He has the strongest and biggest arm in the National Football League, and he could be MVP. So whoever you bring in this time, they have to get it right.
Now, Shawne, is it fair to say that Spanos don't like to spend money when it comes to a coach? Because, for my opinion, the last time I think y'all had a great coach was Marty Schottenheimer.
Yeah, it's a give and take, right? Because a lot of people are fascinated with these big names, right? You see Jim Harbaugh out there, you see Bill Belichick, you're like, okay, let's get them, we're gonna win, right? And that's not the case. Now, bringing a new coach or a big coach like that doesn't guarantee anything other than, hey, we think we're going to get the biggest name coach that's going to satisfy our fan base and keep everybody happy, because you have no idea what's going to happen when they get in there. And so, look, in my opinion, there's about 5 or 6 coaches across the board that I think they should look at, right? And by the way, Tom Telesco was also let go. So you ain't just looking at head coaches, you're looking at GMs as well.
Right.
So right. I think at the end of the day, what it's really going to come down to is what's going to happen over these next 3 weeks. They had Coach Giff, who was my defensive line coach actually in Buffalo, who's the interim head coach now. And I talked to him the other day, and he's just more concentrated on putting out a better product for these next 3 or 4 weeks, however many games is left. He doesn't care about the future. He's not saying, hey, I'm auditioning for a head coaching job. Giff's whole mindset in these next few weeks is let's get the best product, the best team out there on the football field and go from there. So as long as they do that, I think the fan base should be happy. But they got to find a way to finish up strong these last couple games.
So, Shawne, so there's a blowout loss to the Raiders. We see him clean house. And then we got Coach Giff come in. You got JoJo coming in as interim GM. Shawne Merriman is in the front office in charge of hiring for these positions moving forward. Who does Shawne Merriman put in these positions?
It's a tough position, right? Because if anybody asks me about any regrets I have over my career, and it's the number one and probably the only one is not being able to win the ring, right? From those teams that we had from 05 to 2010. We legitimately had a shot to win about 2 or 3 rings in that 5 or 6 year period. So you go down there, one of the greatest or some of the greatest teams in football that we've ever had, and you go in these blank spots where they didn't win for a long time. You got Phillip Rivers there, who will probably be up for Hall of Fame at some point. And then Phillip Rivers passes the torch right off to Justin Herbert, which, by the way, hardly ever happens. You don't get a chance to move on from a potentially Hall of Fame quarterback to another guy who could potentially also be a Hall of Fame quarterback. Normal teams, we're seeing it with the Patriots and everybody else. When you got a great quarterback stepping out, the Steelers, same thing with Ben Roethlisberger, they haven't found a replacement. Whenever you got a great quarterback like that for so long, it is hard to find your next guy that can come into place. So there's a lot of, like, you asking me, I kind of wouldn't want to be in that situation because there's a lot of implications on the line, right? What I would do is whoever I bring in would definitely be on a tightrope, no matter what, right? You don't have a 3 to 5 year window to figure it out. Whatever you do, we need some immediate changes, even if it's the changes that I don't personally like as a owner or as a front office. We need immediate change. And so whoever they bring in, they do not have a 3 year window to figure it out. They got to come in and make it happen now because of this roster that they do have currently.
Now, Shawne, Brandon Staley, when they first made that hire, what were your thoughts? I mean, he's more of an analytics guy, but did you like him in the beginning? Yeah,
so Coach Staley reached out to me when he got hired. The night he did, and we talked on the phone for about 25 or 30 minutes. And the crazy thing is, he said all the right things, right? I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Bonnie Jeff, you just said he's very data driven, like all the right things, right? That you want to hear from your head coach, good leader. I mean, a few times I wanted to get up and run through a wall. I was like, okay, damn, I can play for this dude, right? And he even had some shining moments in his couple years that he was there. It was like, man, he's turned this thing around. This is a new football team. And then you got these spots like, dude, what the hell are you thinking, right? Why would you do that? And what I started to see towards the end, kind of to rub me the wrong way, is the back and forth with the media. So media's job sometimes – it's just their job is to answer questions. And when you're not playing well, you're not performing, trust me, it is hard to answer these questions and stand in front of that microphone while you're getting drilled by questions that you don't necessarily want to answer. It is a difficult situation, but guess what? That's what you signed up to do. You have to answer those questions because they're doing their job. And then also, guess what? The fans want to hear. The fans want to know what in the hell were you thinking? What happened on that 4th and 2? What happened on this down? What happened in the game? So when I start to see that shows me that somebody was in that position that couldn't handle. They should not have been in that position for that particular reason. Because it's easy to answer questions when things are going great, right? You can stand in front of the microphone all day, but when things aren't going well, aren't going in your favor, that's when it's a little bit more difficult because now you're in the hot seat. And his tenure at the end, these last 3 or 4 weeks, it just showed that he wasn't the guy for that job.
And we know, Shawne, that you're very proud of being a Chargers alum. And sometimes you got to take over some of these trolls coming at you. And you always handle it pretty funny. Have you seen all the stuff he says? It's pretty great.
Standing up. Stand up against those trolls, Shawne.
Yeah. Is it hard watching your Chargers going through this? And some people even say the Chargers have like a curse. But I know you stay loyal, but is it tough?
No, it's not tough for me. I think it would be tough for the average fan. Look, I bled and cried and broken bones and ligaments for this organization. It's okay for me to stay and win, lose, or draw because there's nowhere else for me to go. Right? Those are my guys. But as a fan, I think that when the move happened from San Diego to LA, it was difficult for a lot of people to understand and get over. I mean, there's a lot of people in San Diego who just plain pissed off. 20, 30, 40-year season ticket holders, they was not going to renew their tickets. They wasn't coming to LA games. And without all that being said and all that being done, I think the Chargers done a great job at rebuilding that fan base, right? I remember when it was 50-50 in StubHub in that little soccer stadium down there. It was 50-50, or sometimes even worse. And you started to slowly, gradually see the fan base when they moved back up to LA, drafting Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, and all these guys, all these stars, Mike Williams. You started to see the fans kind of come back around. which is very hard to do when you make a move like that from San Diego to LA. The last thing you want to do is piss off the fans, right? They've dealt with this for 20 years, back from 05, now back, when we played, of not being able to get over that hump. And then you saw the last couple of weeks of them chanting "Fire Staley," guys, people walking out, people not when they were playing Denver, it wasn't a lot of. I mean, by that fourth quarter came in Denver, it was all orange and blue in it. I mean, it was bad. And so when you look at it like that, that's the last straw as an organization to make a move. And I think that it was appropriate. I thought they even stuck by him a lot longer than I probably would have. But I get why they did. They had three or four coaches, coordinators with Justin Herbert the last 3-4 years. I mean, it's been a rotating door. So I understood what I did, why they did it, but it was time for them to move on.
Holly and I were former Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, so we want to talk about the Cowboys game a little bit. Obviously, they got demolished by the Bills, and Dak has a problem playing in the cold weather outdoors. Now, Shawne, you came from Maryland, born and raised. Was it ever hard for you to play in different elements? I mean, is that something to be said with certain players that they can't play in the cold, or is that just an excuse?
I think it's. I always thought it was an excuse, because I did play a couple, almost 3 years in Buffalo, and the hardest thing living out in Buffalo, honestly, is like you forgot to get something out your car, right? You got to go back out in the driveway, or you got to run up the street to a grocery store. Like, those things are tough. 3 hours playing, that I think that is so overrated. Like, your skin, your body doesn't get used to the cold because we're human. We're not seals. We're not animals. Right. And so your body doesn't get used to the cold. So if you look at it, the adrenaline for those 3 hours are just running through you no matter what. So you're not sitting back saying, oh, I can't wait to get out this cold. Your adrenaline's going. And for whatever reason, when I was with the Chargers, we traveled into the Bills. We always won. So that cold didn't mess with us too much. And then when I was with Buffalo, I was like, guys, what are we practicing outside for? I'm not going to get used to the cold. I'm going to be cold on Sunday as I am right now. And so I think it's always it's one of those myths that people like a fake tough guy thing, right? Oh, we're going to get used to the cold. They can't handle the cold. No, we can't handle the cold because I don't like being in the cold, living here while it's cold. So those 3 hours that make too much of a difference.
So it's funny because I thought you were going to go somewhere else with that question, Bonnie Jill. You were just talking about, and I've been a lifelong Dallas Cowboys fan, born and raised here in Texas, and sometimes it's just flat hard to be a Cowboys fan. And every year it's, we them boys, this is our year. And I think, we're kind of in that cycle right now. And then you see them kind of just fall apart the closer it gets, and our hopes and dreams just kind of start to, relax a little bit and go down the pipeline. But then you talk. Yeah, you talk about this, and then I watched how they trained or they got ready for the game this week in Buffalo, and they were putting their footballs into ice buckets and trying to get the ball cold and get used to the feeling of the ball and things like that. And then, then we see them play how they played last night. And like, oh, well, we knew we clinched, Atlanta lost. We knew there's no. It was painful to be a Dallas Cowboys fan last night to watch that game, knowing, yes, they had clinched, but I'm sorry, last night the wheels fell off the bus.
Yeah, did they play, Shawne, like they didn't have anything to play for because they knew they clinched? Because they still got to win some games.
No, I think, first of all, I don't want to Buffalo Bills is a really good team when they decide to show up, right?
Yes.
If the team that Josh Allen doesn't throw, 2 interceptions.
And holds on to the ball.
Right. Hold on to the ball. Like they can beat anybody in the National Football. They can beat anybody in the NFL. With the Cowboys, this is my thing. I always say that I believe personally that Dak Prescott is an above average quarterback, right? He's not elite. He's not exceptional. He's a above average quarterback. Now, that works if you got a number one wide receiver like a CeeDee Lamb. That works if they're running the ball and they're blocking for him. I know that Zach Martin went down with that knee or ankle injury or whatever he had. They got a defense, 2 outstanding cornerbacks, right? One of them that could have been up for Defensive Player of the Year at one point. I know Diggs went down. And so, yeah.
Here we go.
I got this for you. Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
I can't wear this right now. That's
and then, with Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, they got a hell of a team, and which is why Dak Prescott will always excel. And so I can't give them the stamp. And this is the problem. I got friends and family who are Dallas Cowboy fans through and through. And the only reason why they became a Chargers fans because of me, or they became the Chargers fans because of me. The rest of my family used to be Redskins / Commanders fans and Dallas Cowboys fans and Raiders fans. That's what I grew up around. So I know exactly how to deal with y'all because I grew up in a house. I love it. And the biggest problem I've always had with the Cowboys is when they got a really good team this year, a really good team. And so the expectations is so high. And every time there's a game won, right, they're going to win out in the division. They're the best team in that division, in my opinion, and they proved that with Philly and they're the best team in that division, in my opinion. They're going to win the games that they should win. But my take back will always be with the Dallas Cowboys is what happened last night when they actually do face a really good team.
Yes.
And what happened this year when they actually faced a really good team. And so until they get over that hump, they're talking about extending Dak Prescott's contract, right? And giving him another big contract. And I'm like, listen, I'm not giving him a dime until he gets them deep in the playoffs.
Yes.
When he gets them deep in the playoffs, pay him. But until that happens, I don't care about regular season numbers. That's always been my thing. And Micah Parsons, my boy, I just talked to us, Stephen Jones. I'm really close to the Jones family. We go back and forth every week on text messages. I think the world of the organization, of the front office, but those damn fans, man, y'all they get on my nerves, all of them, because they won't stop. They won't stop.
It's always our year.
Freedom boys. Well, we got a good big Monday night football game.
Yes.
I mean, tonight talking about Philly. Let's.
And Jalen's actually playing. He's been sick, but he's playing. I got to ask, I know you're more of an AFC guy, Shawne, but do you think the Cowboys can get through the 49ers? Because the 49ers, I believe, are the best football team in the NFC on both sides of the ball.
I don't think anybody's beating the 49ers right now. Now, if somebody get hurt, Debo goes back down again, or Purdy, or if there's an injury, McCaffrey, yeah, the chances go up. But right now they're playing too high level of football right now for anybody, not just Cowboys, anybody to beat them. Now, with that being said, the teams that are playing the best and the healthiest going into the playoffs are the ones that I start to think, okay, they got a real shot at going deep in the playoffs. And you want to do everything you can to avoid the San Francisco 49ers early in the playoffs. If you want a chance to go far, you want to see them doing that NFC Championship game, right? So whoever they play first is going to get knocked out. If it's the Cowboys, they're going to lose. Whoever they play is going to get knocked out. The best chance for them is to see them in the NFC Championship game, and that's when they may have a shot then.
Okay, before we go to lights out, I want to talk about the AFC. So if you got the 49ers for the NFC staying healthy, who's your AFC championship?
Right now, I don't see anybody beating the Ravens. The way the Ravens are playing, the way Lamar Jackson is playing. I know they're talking a little bit about him winning the MVP last night during the game or whatnot, or the other night, when they played. But truthfully, at the end of the day, they have the best total team right now, right? And I'm talking about offense, defense. They have the most aggressive team in football on defense right now. They're getting after you. They got the best 2 inside linebackers. My pass rush coach, they brought him in, Chuck Smith, that I used to work with every offseason. Once I seen that, I said, okay, they are definitely turning things around, because I know how much we worked when I played and how much he helped me with my game. So Jadeveon Clowney, Pat Queen, Roquan Smith, they got a squad over there. So I would say right now, at this current moment, I don't see anybody when it comes crunch time that's going to be able to beat the Ravens.
I like it. And you live in Las Vegas, so the Super Bowl is going to be in Las Vegas. Are they going to be doing some other MMA fights in Las Vegas and lights out?
I'm working on it. The commission process is a little bit more difficult than everywhere else. But this is always a destination. I was with Dana White the other night, and I was presented at the World MMA Awards, and even when I'm walking around, everybody's like, "Hey, when are you bringing the fight here to Vegas?" So it's definitely a destination for 2024. Texas, Arizona's up there. Go back to San Diego, of course. Bonnie, we went down there to San Diego, and so we got a lot of options. A lot of we just got word to jump 90% viewership on Fubo, which moves us up there, close to the top 5 or so. So all good things, but it's hectic on this end because it's year round, it's nonstop. As soon as we get done with one fight, I'm back into venue, sponsorship and everything else for the remainder.
One thing I like, Shawne, is that you kind of do it all. You wear a lot of different hats. But Dana White has been like a mentor to you. I know he's a good friend as well. But what has he instilled, or what kind of advice has he helped you along the way?
I don't ever really ask for anything. Like I'm like, if someone's giving me information, and that's any one of my friends or anybody I have a relationship with is very successful. I don't really ask for much, but sometimes they're gonna tell you things that's way more worth than money, right? Or way more worth than something they can give you. And with Dana, what I can really appreciate now being in this business is how they grew that business with the UFC, because they grew it in the times when social media wasn't really popular. They grew it in the times where MMA wasn't even that cool to be mainstream. People still looked at it as a backyard brawl, backyard fight, some barbaric type of sport with no rules. And they grew it and made it cool. Like certain venues, casinos, hotels, arenas wouldn't even want UFC in there, at a certain point in time. And they knocked down all those barriers and the type of energy. I mean, I probably over this past week, I've been out with him 3 times, to different events and functions. Kid Rock had a thing the other day that we kind of met up for a bit. It's just the energy, man, to be doing it for that long and still kind of, he went there to the MMA awards also to accept the award himself. And so that sort of humility and grind and kind of being able to roll up your sleeve and stay consistent that long, because there's a lot of money to go around, a lot of opportunity to go around. But when you love something that much, you want to do everything, and it's not nothing that you won't do. So when I get around here, we get to talking about some ideas and stuff. We talk about actually not me. I'm the one that's talking about this pitching stuff all the time. But for him to sit there and listen to it and want to talk more and to meet and kind of open up his time to go and do that, it speaks a lot for who he is and what they built.
So you guys, you and Bonnie Jill, y'all work together with Lights Out Extreme Fighting, and she and I work together with this podcast. So if you're pitching ideas into Dana's ear, I'm going to pitch one at you right now. I think that my co-host would be an ultimate addition to the Power Slap contest.
And that's a Dana White.
Please get her into the Power Slap contest somehow, because I think that she can knock what out of somebody with the power. Listen, I've only been in a couple of fights with her, not with her, helping her. We'll talk about that at another time, but the Power Slap contest is one I think that we definitely, Shawne, should get her entered into.
To participate or to?
Yes, he wants to be in it. Shawne, I can fight.
I'm not talking as being any kind of
who does? Who does?
Bonnie Jill.
Hold on, what?
He would slap the lights out of her competitor.
No, he's seen me get a couple fights. That's why. Back in the day, Shawne.
I might have been.
I think that might be something I can kind of make happen. I might be able to pull a few strings on that one. Yeah. That'd be awesome to see. I love.
He didn't believe you. He's like, her?
No.
We'll take this offline, Shawne.
It wasn't that I didn't believe it. It was just, sometimes you get caught off guard. That's hard to do for me because not too many times I get caught off guard. Look, I love the power slap. In fact, I actually had the slapping sound as my alarm when I woke up in the morning for a while. I love the hell out of that slapping noise. I'm not gonna lie. There's a few people that I would love to manually enter in that slapping contest if I could.
Because, Shawne, when you first started, did it come from when you had started on Instagram and TikTok, you would do all the You watch it, right, Holly? Is it, if they should fight or not,
Right. Right.
Sign them up or sign not. Is that how it actually kind of started?
What's funny about the sign them up, don't sign them up. So, being in the fight business now, especially with being accessible on social media, like you'll have fighters to reach out all the time. Hey, I see y'all got a fight coming up. I want to get on this card. And so, I was like, okay, well, send me some footage, a video of your last fight or one of your fights, or like a highlight tape. And so some of these fighters would send me clips and I would look at them or I send them to the matchmaker and they'd be really good. And so the first thing I started to say, okay, we can sign you up for a fight, right? Then we started to have the other ones. Now people were sending me videos of them getting knocked out. And I was like, dude, why would you send me something that you get knocked out? I was like, you sure you don't have anything else? But no, that's the one. I'm like, well, I said, I can't sign you up. I can't, you're getting your ass kicked, right? Like you're not going to be any better over here. We actually got really, really good talent. I can't sign you up. So once that happened like 4 or 5 times, I was sitting around one day. I said, hold on, sign them up. Don't sign them up. And I kept saying it. And so I just posted a funny clip of a fight and with me kind of turning, because in a way I would do the same thing when I look at the screen and take off my glasses because I would be so shocked that somebody would send me a video of them getting knocked out. I was like, no way. And I took it off and I'm looking at the screen and it'll be them getting knocked out. So in fact, when I started doing that, it was me and how I would really do stuff when I saw somebody get knocked out, take off the glasses, look at the camera and say, sign them up or don't sign them up. And I just, out of shits and giggles, I didn't think anything of it. I did it. And the first one got like 250,000 views or so.
Yeah, it come like wildfire.
And so I said, hold on. Like, I didn't think anything of it. I just thought it was kind of funny. I didn't think it was like, oh, this is going to be a big deal. I did that, like, sign them up 3 or 4 times. Got a lot of views. And then I did a don't sign them up, and they got even more views. And so I was like, okay, so people actually like the don't sign them up and not sign them up. So I'll tell you a funnier story. I was in a gym about 4 or 5 months ago, and the guy came up. I had my headphones on. Typically, I don't like anybody mess with me. I'm in the gym, got my headphones on. And the guy was super. I saw him looking at me 4 or 5 times. I just took him off and introduced myself and whatever. He said, I'm a big fan, man. I watched you when I was growing up, but and I love those sign them up and don't sign them up videos. But I want to talk to you about something. And I'm like, we're in the gym, dude. Like, what do you want to talk to me about? One of those times you posted to sign them up, man. I think it was a don't sign them up, and it really kind of bothered me. I swear, like the dude was like hurt. Then I posted. He was dead serious, and I had to look at him 3 or 4 times to make sure that he was serious. Like I was like, is he joking around? He was really hurt.
And did you know which video it was?
Yes. I know exactly what he's talking about. He's like, the guy was holding the guy the arms at the stadium, and his friend was holding his arms back. I thought that was a don't sign him up, man. To be honest, and I was like, okay, yeah, you're right, man. Like, I should have put don't sign him up. But that's when I realized that people are really into it. That's when I realized they were really into it. So I like that too, man, because I think that we all take stuff way too serious. Whether it's job, you can't look at social media without politics or this happening and religion talk and it's just like, man, relax. Social media is supposed to be just that, social media. And so that it was pretty cool for me to do that, and people found it, kind of funny.
Oh, it's great. And you have fun with it now. You watch it, Holly? Like sometimes he acts like he's there where the people are. And we have a clip we could send him from Nashville. Yes. We were in that fight in Nashville. We have one. I got one I can send you, and that we are both in. And you can turns out that the guy that we were fighting was high on bath salts, and we ended up
he would go down, Shawne. So I just kept going.
Yeah, and then she kicked him after he was handcuffed, and then that was a whole nother ball of wax. But I mean, you should have signed us up. I'll send you the clip. Let us know what you think about it.
I swear up, like Shawne Merriman, Brian Urlacher took him, and then
I spider monkeyed him on his back. Had my keys between his fingers, clawed him. I hawked him.
Come on.
You have to watch this video. You would be laughing. You'd be like,
I gotta see it now.
It was a double team. Yeah. We did. You'd be proud of us.
I would love that. I would love to see.
You'd be like, my ring reporter can actually fight.
Listen, I would love to see that. Yeah.
Now, Shawne, before we let you go, let's talk about January 6th, that card, and where people
can know all about Lights Out. We want to make sure we keep getting these numbers up.
Yeah. January 6th, Saturday, January 6th, in Long Beach. Lights Out Extreme Fighting 13. This one's for me personally. I mean, we jumped. Obviously, we talked about 90% viewership. We're rising, and we air a week later on Bally's, and we get a lot. We're getting a lot of eyeballs right now, which is cool because that tells me the fans are enjoying watching what we're doing. This was an important one because we have a main women's fight.
That's what I'm excited about.
With Abby Montez and Jackie Cataline, and typically I stay out of it. We got a great matchmaker team and Antonio and those guys who put these fights together. So once in a blue moon, if I know a manager or somebody personally, maybe I've trained with them, or I know that gym or something like that, I'll step in and kind of put it together. But typically, for the most part, I stay out of it. When I saw that these two were available, and I'm like, no, we got to do this. They just brought the two names up, and they were interested. I said, nope, stop it. I'm getting on the phone. I'm calling everybody. I'm like, we got to do this one. What's great about them too, they're very well known in the MMA community. And they fought some big promotions before, and they brawled and went at it. I know that there's tension too, personally, with managers and people surrounding their teams. That was another reason why I kind of stepped into a little bit. I know that they both wanted to get this done for personal reasons, which I'm gonna let them talk about, doing the weigh-ins and the interviews and stuff like that. But I think that more importantly, it was big for the company, for us, to make sure that we had a women's main event because we haven't had it before. And it was something I've been pushing for the last several fights. So I just thought that was really cool. And got Gilbert Nakatani back on this one. Gosh, we're stacked up. We got about 14 fights total. The prelims will start around like 3 or 3:30, and then we'll go live on Football Sports around 6 p.m. Pacific. It'd be about a 4-hour show. So I just think it's cool because the fighters we talked about just reaching out all over the country, and it wasn't like that early on. It was like, okay, yeah, we know Shawne Merriman played football, but you got to really with this MMA community. I've been around here for 17 years. It's very tight knit, and me being around the sport for 17 years, obviously, I know all the major players in it, know who's coaches, managers, gyms, and whatnot. But for now, fighters to be reaching out to us from all over the country, it says a lot. It says a lot to what we're doing, and they want to be a part of it.
And I think they want to be a part of Shawne because of you. That's the biggest thing. When I speak to a lot of these fighters, they say they love the way how classy you are, the way you include them like your family, and the way that you handle all these fighters. And that has to mean a lot to you.
Yeah, it does, right? Because I think the biggest thing, too, I'm a former athlete. And, being a former athlete and also being somebody I've jumped in these training camps with some of these fighters. I started training back in 2006 with Randy Couture and Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell and, some of the biggest stars and legends of the sport. And then over the years, I popped in all the gym, Black House, it was in LA and San Diego, here in Randy Couture's gym in Vegas, AKA, you name it. I've been in over 25 gyms in the country, Fight Ready, Arizona. All these guys I know, and so I got a different level of respect for them because I know what they put their bodies through, and I know the opportunity they're looking for, and the opportunity they're looking for is what lights out. And they want to be seen to get opportunity to progress in their career, and the best place is for them to do it is in Lights Out. So it's cool for me to give them that platform. I got a great team, people like Bonnie Jill and everybody who's come on board. A solid group of people that we're growing with. So that part for me is really cool.
So are we going to be here in Texas and Dallas? Can we expect that? Because Hollie's been asking.
Yes, I'm waiting.
I'm working on San Antonio. Okay. When we go to Texas, San Antonio will be first. But when we go back, then Dallas will be second. So
awesome. So it's lightsoutxf.com is the website, right? And then yep. Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Shawne. I love working with you, for you, and it's just amazing to now speak to you about, Chargers football and everything else.
Yeah, appreciate it. Y'all have me back on whenever they hire somebody. So
okay, exactly. What are your thoughts?
Thank you for your insight.
Thanks, Shawne. I'll see you very soon.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thanks again.
All right.